Well, it took all of 1 week before Trump settled on his ultimate campaign strategy. He is now attacking Kamala Harris on, and I hope you're sitting down for this, her race. But what's worse, Trump's allies in his campaign and the media just made things way worse for him. This whole thing started when Trump said this just this morning.
She was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is...
I think somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans
really don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some.
Which would be bad enough unto itself. And a normal person might even seek to walk back those comments. But because Trump is a narcissist who never backs down from anything, and because his mouthpieces bestow onto him total loyalty and treat every word that comes out of his face as sacrosanct, now here's what's happening as a result. At his Pennsylvania rally immediately following the disastrous Q&A, his campaign had broadcast this article onto the screen. California's Kamala Harris becomes first Indian-American U.S. Senator. Here's Annalena Habba at that rally.
And unlike you, Kamala, I know who my roots are, I know where I come from, and I don't play around with the Constitution.
And of course, right-wing media was not only ready to toe the new party line, they were excited. Because what conservative media figures aren't falling over themselves to make the election a referendum on race?
Donald Trump saying he didn't know that Kamala Harris identified as anything other than Indian until recently. Right behind us here on the video board, we've been seeing a number of headlines, articles showing that Kamala Harris was first sworn in as one of the first Indian American senators.
You know, she campaigns on being Indian American. Kamala Harris, Indian American. Now all of a sudden, she did a 180. She really is elevating and pushing her black side. I think it's like 25% maybe.
Well, you know, and a lot of
a lot of black Americans.
A lot of the mainstream media is making fun of us when we say things like that.
And of course, when the other networks lunge toward racism, expect Fox News to be right there alongside them, because when it comes to market share, Fox has already proven to the tune of $787 million that it will never be outflanked on the right.
As far as who's Kamala, most of us wouldn't have gone in there and gone, who is Kamala Harris? Is she Indian? Well, she's Jamaican too. Not something I would have done, but he went in there and he peeled back the curtain. And a lot of times, I think early in her career, she identified as South Asian. That might have been effective in California. Now she is considered an African-American woman. You don't hear about that. She's not African-American technically because she has a Jamaican dad.
Dear God, the stupidity, it hurts. Okay, because it's apparently every Republican mouthpiece's first day on Earth, Kamala Harris is Indian American. She's also black. It's called being biracial. She's both of them. It's not really a new thing. In fact, it's pretty common. And if you need an example, take a look at J.D. Vance's own kids. Half white, half Indian. So are we going to pretend that they're not white or that they're not Indian? Probably not, because we have a basic grasp of common concepts in the world, like when a man of one ethnicity has a child with a woman of another ethnicity and a mixed race child is the result. Is that simple enough for the Trump sycophants who might be watching to understand? In fact, you know who's inherently going to be the most biracial generation? Young people, the exact demographic that Donald Trump is trying to make inroads with. You know the other demographic he's trying to make inroads with? People of color. In other words, Donald Trump needs young people and people of color as part of his coalition, and so his outreach now consists of pretending that biraciality doesn't exist and denying the race of the black woman who he's running against. Tell you what, I don't see how that backfires at all. Of course, the reason for Trump's desperate flailing is obvious. He's losing, and when he panics, he lashes out. Does January 6th ring a bell? In fact, it's become so obvious that the media has been flooded with people already calling him out on exactly that.
The more she pulls ahead, the more you're going to see, I think, Trump revert to the only thing he knows how to do when he's trying to get attention, which is to get more and more outrageous. Remember, for that brief period when it looked like maybe he might have been winning earlier this year, he actually began to show some glimmers of something that might be described as discipline. That collapsed the moment that Kamala Harris became the presumptive nominee, and now we're seeing that. We're seeing it when he has an even mildly skeptical or challenging interview, which, as we can tell from today's event, he was not able to handle without just being even more insulting and strange than usual.
Well, I think those are the comments of a desperate, scared old man who is, over the last week especially, has been having his butt kicked by a experienced prosecutor.
In fact, even some Republicans are acknowledging objective reality that this is a very, very bad strategy. Here, for example, is Rick Santorum.
Look, Trump has a bevy of riches to go after Kamala Harris. The question is he disciplined enough to stick to those topics and do it? Now, if you look at what happened today in Chicago, he wasn't. He got, and I understand they were punching at him and they were baiting him, but that's what every reporter is going to do to Donald Trump to get him off his message. The most important thing is for him to stay on message in front of folks who are not rally goers, but people who are listening to interviews who may not know the Kamala Harris story, and they didn't get that story from Donald Trump today.
When Rick Santorum, the guy whose own egregious homophobia is why he's no longer in the US Senate, is calling Donald Trump out on his message discipline, you know that Trump has probably lost the plot. So for all of those mainstream media reporters wondering aloud whether Trump has undergone his new tone, the answer, of course, is no. He is the same racist, misogynist, bigoted, trash person he's been his whole life. He's the same guy who called for the death penalty for the wrongly convicted Central Park Five, the same guy with a history of discrimination against black tenants, the same guy who launched the birther movement against Barack Obama, and now he's doing it again against Kamala Harris. We all know that Trump would eventually revert back to racism, and he's done exactly that. So the question now becomes, do you want to live in a country forever mired in this Jim Crow mentality where insecure old white men feel the need to trash people who come from different backgrounds to compensate for their own failings and moral bankruptcy? Or do you want to live in a country led by a black woman who will protect our climate, protect the rule of law, protect students in schools, protect those in need of healthcare, and protect our democracy? Take all the time you need with that one. I've got a really exciting announcement. I've written a book. It's called Shameless. This book explores how Republicans have exploited their historical branding while attacking our democracy, how the media has proven itself a willful participant, and how Democrats can learn from this to rebalance the political scales and save our democracy. It has been a lifelong dream of mine to write my own book, and so I'd like to ask you to pre-order it by clicking the link right here on the screen. And if you buy within this pre-order period, your book is going to come with a signed nameplate. As you know, I've never had a single sponsor on my channel. I don't ask for money or anything like that, but if you're looking for a way to support me, this is hands down the best way to do it. So again, follow the link right here on the screen, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for pre-ordering Shameless. And as always, make sure to subscribe to see more of my content.